Meet the cash truck driver who loves being robbed. We begin with two money collectors out on their regular duty. Suddenly, they get roadblocked by a bunch of construction workers. Oh, someone's gonna be late. If only that was their biggest problem. It's payday time. The robbers act fast and the money collectors panic. 5 seconds, a blinding light, and it's all done. Oh, and don't forget the casualties. A few months later, and we see a brutal-looking bald guy applying for a job. Driver? You wish. Money collector. Apparently this job can be dangerous, which we've learned so far. Now to get this job, he's gonna have to pass an 8-hour-long test. Considering his life's gonna be on the line, it's important he's prepared. But I guess dying wouldn't be so bad if it happened during this long test. But is this really all worth it? A 9-to-5 office job doesn't sound so bad right about now. Well, Patrick Hill, or H, doesn't seek out easy roads to get butter on his bread. H enjoys a day with his new buddy, Bullet, driving and shooting stuff. He scores 70%, the bare minimum you need to pass. Impressive. Coincidence? I call it a regular day at college. Just kidding, I dropped out. Totally surprised to have passed, H happily proceeds to the lockers to meet the boys. Wannabe alpha males are immediately giving H a hard time, but he's pure sigma male material. First job for H, and he's lucky enough to go on a ride with Dave, who's already kinda into him. The squad collects 2 million like Pop-Tarts from a supermarket. Easy first day. Now, time for some beer and pool. But before that, H takes a moment to study all the personnel of his new company. That's dedication. My boss at McDonald's never even learned my real name. Meanwhile at the pool bar, the boys figure out who wants to get their butt beat by the new guy first. The odds are in favor of Sticky Pete, who feels like H is gunning for his job. H is unfazed by Pete's harassment, and even gives him some money to buy a beer. The second day on the job is much more exciting for H. We see the boys getting the delivery, but Bullet never makes it back. Surprise, some robbers have bagged him. They take him as a hostage and demand our guys give up 2.5 million out of the car. The so-called Alpha Dave immediately begins to whimper and wants to retreat, which he calls following protocol. However, H has got a better idea. They go ahead and follow the bad guy's instructions and intentionally drive straight into the trap. Great plan, H. Dave points out that all this is going to do is turn one dead guy into 3, but H doesn't seem to care. You know, at least my McDonald's manager never asked me to sacrifice my life. Anyway, H is ordered to throw the money into their truck, and he does so, but intentionally throws one on the ground, pretending it was a mistake. Oh my god, is that Post Malone? I think our boy Posty is on the wrong set. Okay, actually no, he's the leader of this operation. Next up, one of the robbers gets out of the truck to school H about how to throw a bag into a truck. Lesson learned. Bam, got him. H toggles his aimbot and goes to town, clapping all the enemies. Their cowardly tactics are no match for his pinpoint precision. Posty decides to postpone releasing his next album and escapes instead, while Dave puts on his big boy pants and finally gets outside to help H. As if he needs it. The pursuit continues, and somehow H walks faster than Posty runs. Makes me wonder if this whole thing is just a nightmare Post Malone is having. Back in the office, managers try to figure out how Mr. Hill took down 6 guys without getting a scratch. What can I say? He's built different. Some investigators pull H aside and show him the robbery from earlier. They ask H if he sees any connection with this case. Suddenly, H gets Vietnam flashbacks for a moment, but we're not sure why just yet. Right after, H's manager tries to get him a desk job. It's mandatory after an agent sees violent action, but he refuses, stating that he has a job to do. Understandable, I would rather die than work a desk job. Fortunately, the boss comes to the rescue and praises H. He wants him to remain on the field. Everyone seems to love H, except for these 2 agents. They immediately call some guy who knows H. They say it's him. We don't get much details, but apparently H is kind of a big deal. That being said, they're okay with turning a blind eye to let him do what he does best. Meanwhile, H studies all his new colleagues and the previous robbery. My man aims at becoming Worker of the Month and won't settle for anything less. This job has its merit. H returns to a hero's welcome. He's a local star at the Boy Scouts Club. 3 months later, the boys get robbed again. This time, the bad guys are much more clever and smoke the collectors out of their wheeled fortress. H steps out, but when he reveals his face, the magic happens. The robbers just run away. Our boy's so famous he scares bad guys just by his looks. I do the same to girls. Meanwhile, back in the office, Dana admires H. She even asks him for a drink. Score. Meanwhile, the boys become suspicious of H. Bullet notes that the robbers seem to recognize H. Later at night, we see that H is in Dana's house. You dirty dog. Suddenly, he wakes up and has her sit down on the couch. Tensions escalate, and he's about to put more holes in Dana. Whoa, looks like he found a suspicious amount of money hidden in a shoebox. He thinks she might be working on the inside for the first robbers. Turns out she isn't, supposedly. She just found the 125K on a job. You see, it wasn't accounted for and she just figured she'd help herself. Can't blame her. Suddenly, we're teleported to 5 months earlier. We get a peek at H's personal life. He's with his son, enjoying a family day. Turns out, H used to be a robber himself and was a pretty high-class one at that. So much so that he was actually the boss of the earlier squad. No wonder they ran the other way. They probably had flashbacks of overtime. I know I do. Although H is on a day out, he has to do a small job. Follow the route of the money-collecting truck and learn where it turns, left or right. If he doesn't do it now, 3 months of preparation go out the window, and everyone else is busy. Quite the Uno reverse. H was robbing the same company he's working for now. Okay, one simple job. Just watch where the truck's going. What could possibly go wrong? So, father and son go for a ride. H stops for a burrito and goes into spying mode. He sees the truck. It went right. Job done. Uh-oh. The truck gets robbed. Exactly the same robbery we saw initially. What's worse, H's son becomes a hostage. He sees what's going on and rushes to help, but it's too late. The bad guy claps his son and then shoots him too. The last thing H sees is the face of his son's murderer. After 3 weeks, H gets out of a coma. 6 bullets removed and 3 operations. The man was lucky to survive. Like I said, this man is built different. Unfortunately, his son wasn't so lucky. H's wife is heartbroken and blames him. And to be fair, H probably blames himself more than anyone else in the world. But there's no time for crying. I mean, he probably doesn't have tear ducts. But anyway, it's time for revenge. H compiles some names and gets his team together. Dozens of investigations later, the killer is still out there. H is not impressed. He inspires his team to go berserk. So they kidnap some guy named Jerome, the worst of all the bad guys, and beat him up a little bit to get some names. Though that's not enough, so the boys bring out his daughter. Before she can get clapped, he begins to speak. He gives up the name the Gashi Brothers. If there's anyone who could have done this, it's them. The darkest monsters out there. Not even just bad guys. Pure evil guys. They do all kinds of nasty, non-advertiser friendly things. You get the idea. The team goes hunting and find themselves in a truly despicable place. Though the brothers are clearly up to no good, they weren't behind what happened to H's son. However, H takes them out anyway. With nothing but dead ends, literally, the team is tired. H's favorite employee tells him to chill, and he's right. Realizing that the hard way isn't working, H decides to go the smart way. Fake documents, new personality. H is ready to get a job inside Fortico to become the bait and find the people who clapped his son. Meanwhile, we see the story through the eyes of the real bad guys, the ones who robbed the truck. Turns out there's some ex-Afghan vets bored of their regular jobs and looking for some extra cash. Unfortunately, they're men, so OnlyFans isn't an option. The soldier boys started with a little bit of robbery, but they only netted 100K, which wasn't enough for them. So they've decided to get into the money truck business. And by business, I mean theft. On their first job, they managed to get 1.2 million. Good enough for retirement if you ask me, but not for the greedy boys. They've got families to feed and barbecue parties to throw. Now they get ready for a new job. They're looking at a total of 6 million, which is like $1 million for each, but actually there's a 7th guy, the one inside the truck company. The boys start planning and in 6 weeks get ready for their biggest job. Yep, the job where they killed the son of our Mr. H. Now we see it from the robber's perspective. They're all very skillful and trained. Everyone's a pro except the guy with the scar, Jan. He's definitely a loose cannon. He gets his face revealed, has to shoot the guards, and then has to clap H's son. Can't have any witnesses. And of course, don't forget H himself. Now back to the present. The army boys are planning their last job, the one that will retire them, their kids, and their kids.
Thanks for tuning into Recaps Movies. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update on the latest movie shorts we're covering. We're always on the lookout for new and exciting films to discuss, so don't be shy. Let us know your favorite movies in the comments below. We love hearing from you, and your suggestions help us create the best content possible. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.